Hello and welcome to another episode of Barrel Banter, a show where we gather around after a long day's work, have a sip or two of whiskey, talk about it, anything else that's on our mind. So what are we drinking today?
This is Corner Creek Reserve Bourbon Whiskey.
I have actually never heard of this.
I've heard of it many times. I've seen it on the shelf in a couple magazines, seen they've won some awards. I've never tried it, which is shocking because I'm a little cheap, and for a small batch whiskey, this comes in at like a $26, $27 price point.
Wow. Very sweet. I could smell it from here.
Yeah, I get that sweet.
So it's sweet.
Yep.
Fruity.
Whoa.
It's got a little bit of burn to it.
Yeah, that kind of crept up on me. Kind of just wafted into my nostrils.
You guys smelling anything else?
Getting a lot of
Leather.
character.
Spice.
Straight up
A little spicy.
A little spice, a little leather, a little earthiness.
Really, really dry. Really dry.
Yeah. So it's 88 proof, and they claim it's a very small batch, like pulled from very selective barrels. There's not a lot of information about it. It says they're distilleries in Bardstown, Kentucky.
I also read that it's one of the brands under Kentucky Bourbon Distilleries. So basically a Willet. And not much really else on the background.
Yeah, not a lot of
Some good company.
info on that,
Yeah.
but they filter it very little because they want to maintain most of their flavor, and they cut it to proof with Kentucky limestone water. So it's water that's been running through, I guess, underground reservoirs across limestone.
Huh. It's really good. It's it has a lot of heat, which
Up front.
yeah. Well,
Nothing.
mine's
Going?
lingering a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
What are you guys tasting?
Oakiness for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
that
oaky.
oak's
More
in there.
oaky than most.
Yeah.
I'm getting a
Almost-
lot of sweetness out of it, though.
Yeah.
So how's that finish? What do you guys feel at the end there?
Similar to what I was just saying when I first tasted it. It's got a real dry finish. For me, the heat lingers.
Yeah, it's
Spice. That
Yep.
spice maintains.
It's not as complex.
Definitely spice.
no.
It's kind of one note.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really change in terms of the flavors from up front all the way back. It's pretty much the same thing all the way through.
Yeah. 88 proof. That's kind of
Finish with spice.
Yeah.
Start with spice. Finish with spice after that.
Mhm.
It's not as, once I cut it, it's not as pungent, I guess. But it's there.
Yeah, even with a little
Yeah.
water, though, I'm still getting some heat on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I feel it on my lips.
So it's not as mellow as some of the other high proof ones we've had.
Right. Yeah. The water does help. Cuts it. It mellows it a little bit. But to your point, it's still
Yeah.
that's a toasty drink.
Yeah.
This is our second or third one that wasn't that high of a proof where there was a lot of heat.
Right. Yeah. So what we're talking about today is UX, UI design, and what the hell it is, and why is it so important and kind of looked over nowadays. So what do you, Caleb? What is UX design?
Well, UX stands for user experience, and it actually covers a pretty broad range of topics, from anything from, our side of the fence, web design, to, maybe our clients, their finished products and their packaging, their labels, etc. It really carries through all aspects of any given type of product, whether it's a digital product or a physical product, and anything else that's through it.
Services.
Right, and a lot of people sometimes confuse UX with UI, where really UI is a part of UX. UI is standing for user interface. That's just one thing, one element of it.
Right.
Specifically in the digital world, where it's what comes up on the screen for an app or a website, that digital element that the user is literally interfacing with.
Right.
But that's, as you just said, a smaller part of a much broader realm.
I mean, to give you an idea, vehicle interiors, there's some UX, that's kind of working behind there, to the placement of the knobs, how far everything is from a typically seated person.
That's a really good
Yeah,
analogy.
the way
right?
this seat is shaped, the way it works, the way it moves, its height.
Not only the design, but how it makes you feel when you're sitting in
Yeah.
it, how you're driving it, how
Hence
you look at
the
it.
the user experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's all encompassing. So
And that's a good point because a lot of it is focused on how does the user feel. And it may sound silly at first to think about, oh, how did that make you feel using that website? But really how you felt about it drives your experience with it, and whether you had a positive, negative, or even just
Frustrating.
blah experience.
Right.
And my personal experience is good UX design, you won't notice.
Exactly.
It's the websites that are clunky and don't make sense when you're navigating around. Those are the ones you
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
I would say it reminds me a lot of the buzzword of the 80s, which was ergonomics,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
yes.
is
yeah.
very much
Yeah.
the same.
It's very-
especially when you're talking about like knob position. And again, it was something that if you did it right, you didn't really notice it.
Right.
Yep.
It just felt natural.
Yeah, it's
And now
it's
that's
like
been
that.
sucked up by UX and the whole process.
By UX.
And the process itself is interesting because something as simple as a landing page for a website, sometimes a whole team has gone in to develop why it looks and works the way it does. And they've gone through, rounds of interviews and testing with actual consumers to land where they did.
Interesting. All for you to hopefully not notice.
Yep.
and
Cool.
it could be just one little thing too.
Yeah.
Like a button moved
Button.
down 2 pixels.
Right.
A
Well-
slightly different shade of color
Right.
that most people found more pleasing than the minority.
Interesting.
Well, one issue I found with UX is that a lot of times the team that's working on it gets so familiar with the project
Yes.
that they lose sight of what's happening, and then some total stranger walks in and goes, "Huh? What? I don't get it."
Right.
And they're all, looking at him like, "What do you mean you don't get it?"
Exactly. And that's why now the cutting edge of it is so heavily reliant on consumer interviews and
Yep.
testing.
User testing is a huge part of it.
That makes sense. Well, cool. We covered it pretty briefly there. It's a pretty
Yeah.
deep topic, but that kind of gives you a
Overall look at
Yeah.
An overall look.
bird's eye
Right.
view.
Yeah, we could go on a 3-hour rant on
Oh, yeah.
UX best practices and everything.
But you have to pay us for that.
That'll cost you extra.
So as we wrap up, final thoughts as we've sat with Corner Creek now for a couple minutes.
Still got that warmth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like it overall.
Yep.
Because it's been breathing a little bit, so a little bit of that warmth seems to be, doesn't seem quite as harsh.
Right.
I could be getting used to it too.
Well, let's go the opposite direction, John. Give me your how many barrels are you gonna rate this one?
I'm a little torn because, for small batch, it's a great price. But, I'm not over the moon about it.
No.
I'd give it a solid high 3.
Okay.
I'm going probably for a 2.5 for something that's claiming to be small batch. It's not as complex as I'd like to see,
Yeah.
and it's that little harsh edge is not sitting well with me.
Yeah, I'm kind of gonna in line with what you guys are thinking. Given the price point, it's not bad. It's kind of like we said, it's kind of one note, but it's definitely something that you'd want to crack open in the fall, the winter time. So I'm gonna give it a 3.
Interesting.
No?
I was gonna give it a 2, but you reminded me about the price point and small batch, cheap,
Yeah.
considering. But I still can't.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
No.
it's a 2.5 for me.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty harsh, and I mean, given what we've tried so far up to this point, it's not a very enjoyable experience. Speaking of UX,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not doing great on the UX right now.
that spice carries all the way through. It's not just the heat, but that spice gets me really. It's kind of harsh in the back of the throat for me, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm giving it a 2 personally.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though, Chris. I wonder if we would be rating this differently in early December.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to revisit it.
There we go. I'm
All right.
always up for that.
thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.
All right.
Cheers.
Yep, still spicy as fuck.
Well, spicy doesn't bother me.
It's like all